Good morning, my beautiful friends. It is Monday morning at 6 o'clock, and I don't know why I'm up so early, but I think it's because I slept half the day because I just got home from Pocono Workshop, which is bagpipe camp held every year, the weekend before Thanksgiving. It's like one of my favorite weekends of the year. And if you watch my last video, it's all about being a good teacher, and this video is all about being a good student. So, if you're new to the channel, I play the bagpipes, and I've played the bagpipes since I'm 13. So I learned my local high school had bagpipes as part of the marching band. My brother was a piper before me, and then I became a piper after that. And back then, and this is going back to the mid-'80s in the last century, the pipe corps was created in the 1970s. It was an all-male unit. And I wasn't the first girl in our pipe corps, but the few girls that had gone in before me had all successfully been chased out by the boys who hazed and did awful things to them to get them to quit. So when I went in, my brother was very clear. He was older than me, so he had graduated and when I started, and my mom was really keen on him being out before I went in. So he was very clear, and he said they're going to do everything they can to get you to quit. So you're going to have to be strong enough because I'm not going to be there to protect you. So you're going to need to be tough enough to put up with their BS, pretty much. He probably used other words, knowing my brother. Anyway, so I did, and they did a lot. They threw bricks through my window. They slashed my mother's tires. It was unrelenting, the bull crap that put me through. But I stuck with it. And then my senior year, I was named the pipe major, which is like, the head cheerleader, but for bagpipes. And it was obviously an honor to be the first female, but the adults were ridiculous. They wrote letters to the editor of our newspaper saying how I, a 17-year-old girl, was ruining the traditions of Bethlehem and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, there have been female pipers in Scotland, and in the United States and Canada and Australia for years before me. So it wasn't like I was the first girl ever to play bagpipes. There were plenty of women who were tremendous world champions before me. So bagpiping was my life. But, as a teenager, I had other passions too. I was on the swim team. I was a diver. So I was very passionate about that. I had to work 3 jobs to put myself through college because my father was a steel worker and there wasn't money for college for any of us. And so I had to put myself through. And, so I did a lot of things. And so while piping was a passion, it wasn't my only passion, and it wasn't something I was completely always focused on entirely. So I played, and I played in the high school band, and I played in another band that was a street band, but it was becoming a competition band. And when I was a senior in college, I had the opportunity to intern down in Washington, D.C. with Congress and Senate. So I turned in my chanter and turned in my kilt and went my way to build my life, to build my career, and to build my adult life. And I was accepted to grad school and law school. I ended up choosing grad school because I absolutely hated politics after that year living in Washington. And piping really took I can't even say a backseat on the bus. Like, it wasn't even on the bus. I would play once in a while for friends' weddings and stuff like that, but I really kind of got away from it. And then after I got married and I had both of my boys within 10 months in a calendar year, and my second son was born disabled, I really, that was it. I retired. I officially, what they call retired from bagpiping. And I didn't play, so I put my pipes away and forgot about them. And over the years, my brother would be like, dude, you should play your pipes. And I'd say, dude, time. So that went on for a good 20 years. And then during the pandemic, my brother, once again, because he would do this a few times a year, he'd say, dude, you should play your pipes again. And I was like, you know what? I'm not doing anything. It's the pandemic. Let me go find him. So I found him. And I had remembered that I lived in New Jersey during Hurricane Sandy, and I had thought my pipes were in my closet upstairs, but they were in my basement, which had flooded during Sandy. So they were covered in mold. And, bagpipes haven't changed at all for thousands of years, except for the 20 years that I retired. They have new bags, they had new reeds, like there was all this new stuff. So my brother's like, all right, here's the shopping list. You need a new bag, you need new reeds, get all these things. And get me a bottle of Everclear, which they don't sell in Pennsylvania, but they do in New Jersey, and some brushes, and I'll see what I can do. Because I didn't think they could be saved. The pipes were covered in mold, the bag was completely moldy. You do change your bag every so many years, so I mean, I would have had to do that anyway, but these pipes were in some bad shape. So I got the required supplies, got him the Everclear, got him the brushes, and he resurrected them from the dead. And he made some really funny memes of the work he had to do to get them going. So he hands me them, and he handed me them as a goose, which is the pipes without the drones. It's just corked up. And I was like, dude, I don't know if I even remember any tunes. Like, I don't think I do. And he's like, well, see what you could do. So I said, well, here's the deal. I'm going to blow them up. And if I can play a tune, then I'll play again. And if I can't, then, I'm going to donate these. Because, I mean, when I was young, I was really, really thin. And then, of course, I got really, really big after the birth of my kids. So I was like, my physical body was in different shape. And, of course, I was a swimmer and a diver back when I played the first time. I was in really great shape. Not so much now. So I had no idea what was going to happen. So I blew them up, and the only tune that I could remember was Amazing Grace. And I could play it. I would like shocked myself. He took a recording. It wasn't pretty, but I did remember it, the tune. And that was it. So I found myself a teacher online, Matt Willis, who's really, really great. I'll tag him below. If anybody's interested in learning bagpipes, I definitely recommend Matt as a teacher. He really, really helped me to kind of like get back in the saddle and played through tunes with me and things like that. But I had bad habits from when I played before, and of course I forgot things over the course of 20 years. So I really needed to learn more. And so Pocono Workshop is a teaching and learning event held as a fundraiser for the Ulster Scottish Pipe Band, which I'll also link below, and because they're a competition band in the Philadelphia area, and it costs a lot to get these competition bands all around because they have to travel, and of course kilts and reeds and channers and all the things. Piping is, like every hobby, expensive. So I thought, well, I don't know anybody that goes to it, but I'm going to go because they have these world-class instructors, and it was near my house, and I thought, well, even if I hate it, I'll try it. Like, put yourself out there. So, lesson number one, if you want to learn something, get yourself good teachers, because, you can learn on YouTube, you can do things on YouTube, but it's better to be in person with people. I guess step one before that is believe in yourself enough that you can try. And then step two is find an instructor. So I went to the Pocono Workshop I don't know if they held it in 2020, so it must have been 2021 that I went. I went 3 times, so I went in 2021. And I didn't know anybody, and I had such a good time. The teachers are absolutely incredible. The Stuart Liddell, who is the pipe major of the band that won the world championship, which is a big deal in the piping world. He's one of the instructors, and then, they have all these other instructors in piping and drumming, and they're all excellent, and they all, cover different topics, right? So I needed the basics, and that's mostly what Stuart taught that first year that I went. And it really was transformational, and like exponentially my piping improved just in that tiny time that I had with them. But then I had resources for what to do next and where to go next. And I'm so glad that I went. So I've been going every year. This is my 3rd year going. And the Friday night, there's a concert with the instructor, so you get to hear great playing. And then Saturday, all day, are lessons, and there's like a menu that you pick from and things that you want to go to. And then there's a ceilidh, which is the Scottish word for party, on Saturday night, which never disappoints, ever. And there's dancing, and there's different players playing, and anybody can get up in the true fashion of a ceilidh. Anybody can get up, and assumedly you could sing or do poetry as well, but nobody does that. It's all piping. Sometimes there's dancing, but there wasn't this year. And then Sunday, when we all roll out of bed because we all have headaches from the night before, we go to lessons again, and then we finish up with a Q&A with the instructors. And it really is just like, it is such a worthwhile weekend. And I try to get the guys in the bands that I play in to go along. This year I got one. I call him my band wife, Jim, and his wife came. I call her Wiffle, my wife-in-law, because she's his wife and he's my band wife, so that makes her my wife-in-law. And she brought us snacks, and it was great to have them because I love them as people too. And then it was just fun to have somebody with me, but I can't get the other pipers in the two bands to come along. And part of it is the price. I know it is a little bit expensive. And they had these kind of camps when I was a kid, and my parents could never, ever have afforded to send me. And I know my piping instructor, Scott, had wanted us, my brother and I both, to go, but that just wasn't something my parents could pay for. So, but it's totally worth it, and it's totally worth the motivation that you get, the inspiration that you get, and then obviously the technique, pointers that you get. And you can pick what you go to. So this year... So in the first 2 years, I went to things, for a beginner, I'm more of a novice, but I went to the beginner stuff to work on embellishments, which are the little blippy notes that you hear in piping. They're sometimes called grace notes. And this year I had to kind of like ramp up and go into things. I really love my new quote. I'm going to get a t-shirt that says, I either want to make them dance or I want to make them cry, because I really like playing dance tunes, and I really like playing like soulful airs, which are slower tunes. So I went to more stuff like that, and then Pibroch, which is classical piping music, which is a little difficult to play. The music is nearly impossible for me to read, but I have to say I'm not that great at sheet music reading. I can read melody notes. I'm not great at reading the grace notes, because my first teacher, who was a competition piper, often sang to us, and I learn music best by listening and watching. I'll watch the fingers, but the risk in doing that is I miss a lot of those embellishments because they go really fast, and so you don't always see them when folks are playing, but I learn the melody that way, and I can usually pick up any tune watching somebody. In fact, I think every Christmas song that I know I learned by watching Jim play it, and I just join in and play. So anyway, so that's like the overview of why I go and what I go to do and everything. And what I was thinking about, first, I want to say that the instructor that I thought previously was snooty and arrogant, he must have had a change of heart, because he was absolutely great this time, which, is just proof that people can change, right? And we can grow as instructors, and perhaps feedback from previous years helped him to grow a little bit, to not be saying, snooty things to people. He was actually really great this time. And so that was really good to see. And then, all of the instructors in the piping side were just tremendous. And, they explain things so clearly, and they really do inspire you to want to learn more and to do more. And they give you like really practical tips. Like I remember last year, the practical tip that was given, which seems so obvious, is to record yourself while you're playing. You don't have to keep the recordings, but and you're not recording your face, you're recording your fingers, so that you can kind of see what it is you're doing and what mistakes you're making, and like that was such a helpful tip last year. And the year before that, it was like, listen to tunes, like listen to the tunes you want to learn, like listen to different bands play them. And and that seems like, well, duh, no kidding, you should do that. But you don't really think about that because you get the sheet music and then you just play the music. So, the great takeaways this year were really, there's so many of them, but I think I don't know what the biggest one is. I think the biggest one is like, be in love with the music that you play, like, especially like in a band, somebody else is picking the music for you. The pipe major is usually picking music. If it's a more democratic band, the whole band will pick. But if you're a soloist, which is what I mean, I play in two bands and that music's picked for me. But for my solo work, for the things that I do on my own, like find tunes that you love and play the tunes that you love. Like, and again, a duh moment, like no kidding. But in order to find music that you love, you have to listen to lots of different kinds of music. So, that was a great takeaway. And then, some just real practical things about fingering and your chanter and stuff. I have little hands, so sometimes I feel like I can't do some things because my hands are tiny, but that's baloney because there are little kids that play and they can do these things. I'm so inspired by the youth. There's a lot of young people that come to this, high school kids, younger than that too, that come with their parents and families. And there's one boy in particular, Aiden, 16 years old. I always sit in the front in every lesson. Like, I sit in the front. It probably seems like I'm such a suck up to the teachers, but I'm not. I have really bad eyesight, and I also, I'm a squirrel. So if you put me in the back, I'm going to be naughty. That's how it always was in grade school. So I learned in college and grad school to sit right in the front. I'm going to behave and I'm going to pay attention because I can see and I can hear. So I always sit in the front. So I sat in the front, and then two women my age, that I'm friends with, they came and sat with me, and I'm like, we're like the old lady table. So this young kid, 16 years old, comes up and he's like, "Can I sit here?" And I'm like, "Well, you absolutely can. I mean, we're three old ladies, but have at it." So he sat down, and he is grade 2 competition piper, just filled with energy and such a good kid. And like, you look at him and you're like, if this kid sticks with it and he doesn't get distracted like a lot of kids do, like, he is going to be up on the stage teaching one day, because he is, such a good player at 16. And there's a little girl named Bridget who's a tenor drummer, and tenor drummers are the ones that do the like twisty things, and I don't know what those are called. I guess they're embellishments or flourishes or whatever they call that. And she's just a wee little tot. She just started playing, and she's so enthusiastic, and she just, I mean, just the cutest little kid ever. And she comes with her dad, who's a piper in a neighboring band up here in Scranton. And she won the award for to get free tuition next year you know for her potential and everything. And she was so excited. She like ran out of the room she was in, and she saw me, and she's like, I won. She was so adorable. And it's so great to see young people. I mean, it carries the culture, obviously the Scottish culture, it carries and continues that culture. And then piping and drumming, it carries those traditions as well. And we need young people. And um, you know, we're teaching some old dogs new tricks when it comes to people my age. But I mean, it was encouraging too that there were people my age who were brand new, who just started, maybe just retired, a little bit older than me, but just retired, and now they can do this thing. And they're learning. And so there is every age group, and it's so inspiring. And I really just love it. So walking away, you think, sometimes we think when we're older that we can't do things, like that we can't learn something new, or that we can't get better at something that we do. So, in swimming, like, I don't know that I would ever go back to diving. I mean, every once in a while, if I'm at a pool and there's a diving board, it's very rare that pools have diving boards anymore. I can get a pike out, I can get a backflip in, I can do some minor dives. But, the more complicated dives, like, I'm old and I'm a bigger girl. I'm getting less big, but, I've lost a lot of weight, but I'm not, my 110 self at 16. So, I don't think that I'll go back to diving, but I loved it when I was 16. I don't love it in the same way now. I love to watch it. I love to watch the divers in the Olympics and stuff like that. I love to watch professional diving and competition diving, but I'm okay to be a spectator, and I thought that I felt the same way about piping, that I didn't need to play in anymore. I could just sit on the sidelines. But I'm so thankful that I'm back, and it is something that I can still do. And I think I'm better at it. When I talked to my brother at our Thanksgiving dinner, I was like, I think I'm a better piper now than I was, you know, 25 years ago. And he said, you are. And I'm like, well, and I think it's because of the singularity of focus, right? It's something I want to do. It's something I'm passionate about. It's something I have some goals. I want to compete as a soloist, which is something I never got to do when I was younger. I have some goals in mind. I want to play a pibroch all the way through, which has very, very specific kinds of embellishments that you play with it. So I have goals that I didn't have before because I had many goals doing lots of different things. So you're never too old. I think that's the main takeaway. You're never too old to start something new, and you're never too old to get something back. And our biggest limitation is ourselves. We limit ourselves and say, well, I can't do that because I'm too old, or I can't do that because I'm too fat, or I can't do that because I'm tired. Like, if you want to do something, you can do it. And I encourage you to do that. And getting started is really the hardest part. Once you take that first step and say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to start, then resources pop up. YouTube is amazing. That didn't exist when I was a kid. And like Matt Willis, his stuff is available. A lot of his stuff is available for free. There are other Falkirk piping. There's all kinds of different piping channels that will get you started. And then there's Piper's Dojo, which is, you can get lessons. You can find a private instructor now that Zoom and Teams exist, and I think even Skype. I think some do it over Skype. There's all kinds of opportunities where you're not really, you're not really tied to having to find somebody in your local area like I was when I was a kid. So if there's something that you're passionate about, go for it. Try it. I mean, what's the worst that could happen? You might have to be like, okay, well, this isn't me, and I can't dive anymore. Okay, and then you switch focus. But most things that you want to do, if you're passionate enough, your soul will find a way to do. So I am wishing you all the very best and light love. Be well, be inspired. Take care. Bye-bye.